Hello everybody and welcome to the All Hands on Tech live stream. Once again, we are back. We're doing Blazor Components again. We're going to have some fun today. I've just kind of thought of some new things that we could do with the Blazor Components that we've been working with lately. And so we're going to jump right in. Let me bring up our screen here. And let's see. Do a quick tech check really quick just to make sure everything is working. Looks like I have audio. Perfect. And we'll make sure we are live and streaming to the channels that we intend to be streaming to. Just a little quick thing I do for a couple minutes here, and then we'll jump right in. And I've got to retweet this to my followers here. And just as a reminder, we are on Discord. If you would like to jump onto our Discord, we've got the URL right there, discord.gg/pluralsight. We've got all kinds of cool people on our Discord. You could be one of them. A lot of stuff we talk about is career development, becoming a better software developer, getting certifications. There's all kinds of cool stuff that happens on our Discord. There's a ton of people on there, so you should definitely join. Sorry. So I've had a little wonkiness going on with my computer today. Where Windows have been disappearing. So what I did this morning, early this morning, is I decided to update. I updated .NET 7.02, updated Visual Studio, updated Windows, all kinds of stuff that I had fell behind on. Hello, Herman. Thank you for joining. The stream is good. So thank you. I have a lot of fun doing this. What I was just explaining is I updated all the things, like all at once on my machine. And I thought that was a good idea, right? So I'm doing like .NET 7.02, the newest Visual Studio, newest Windows. I haven't updated this stuff in a couple of months, and so after I did that, it seems like I'm having a lot of like wonky issues with my computer this morning. One of the things that I've noticed is all my Chrome windows just disappearing all at once. So I have like two profiles open, a work profile, a personal profile, whatever, and it just drops. Everything drops all at once. So yeah, what can you do? So it looks like we are live on, let's see, YouTube. Hello, YouTube. I see we're on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn. Hello, everybody from LinkedIn. And of course, Twitch. We are here on Twitch, which is awesome. We are always on Twitch. We try to stream to everything. I'm even streaming on Twitter today. Try to stream to everything. But sometimes that just doesn't work. But it always seems to work on Twitch. So what are we going to do today? Today we're going to do some more stuff with our Blazor components. So what we did last week is... Oops, I did not want to do that. Just as a recap, the two streams ago, we talked about components, passing data into components, doing subcomponents off of each other. We did a bunch of different things with Blazor components, some of the basics, and then we started getting into a little bit more in-depth stuff. We created some fake data here, and kind of a fake database, and then we listed that out on our page, and I'll go ahead and We'll start this. Okay, and as you can see, we're loading up individual components. That's fine. Go here to employees. So we click show employees and it shows our list of employees. Today, we're actually going to do a real database. We're going to do one of my favorite databases, which is SQLite. This one right here. And in fact, we will go and create our SQLite database that we're going to use. If you've never used SQLite before, you might be wondering, why are we using SQLite? Why not Azure SQL or something like that? Azure SQL is awesome. SQL Server is awesome. All of these things are great. However, if you have a very small database, when I say small, I mean a few gigs or something even, SQLite is really good. It's a file-based database. So it's a file that sits on the hard drive that the application is running on. So it's very, very small. It's very self-contained. It's just one of my favorite databases ever. And it's getting faster and faster and better. You use SQLite every single day. Surly Dev, hello. How are you today? I caught the sarcasm. As soon as I saw, I was just thinking, I wonder why. Yeah, I caught the sarcasm. But you use SQLite every day because this is what's used on Android and iPhones for databases all the time. And it's just a cool database system. I use it with so many things. I use it with Python and Golang also when I'm writing code there. So yeah, I have a lot of repos in here. Was a Blazor test. So what we're going to do is we're just going to create a blank database. We're going to call it customers. I can't spell today. We're just going to call it customers.db. We don't even need to do this. We don't even need to do anything else. We can close the database. And as you can see, we have a little customers DB thing here. So that's where, oh, not customers, employees. Let's just rename that really quick. I don't know why I put customers, employees, because we're dealing with employees today with our super fake Blazor application. So we just made a basic list, right, of employees, but we're going to do an actual database with employees today using that same data. So we'll go over here. First thing we want to do is go to that package manager console and let's see if I can remember these. I have some stuff in notes somewhere around here, but we're going to do .NET add package, Microsoft entity, the entity framework. I guess I could just use the visual stuff instead of most of this because I don't remember every single one of them. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll go over here to tools. We'll go to the NuGet package manager. That way I don't have to remember all those names. It's been a little while since I've done this. So we'll go over here, browse. We'll say, oh, there's already entity framework core. But we're looking for SQLite. There we go. So we want to install, oh, it looks like this package is deprecated. So we want to install Microsoft Entity Framework Core, SQLite. We're going to do 702. I accept. There's going to be a whole bunch of dependencies. That was pretty fast. Oh, actually, I think I wanted to do, this does not include a copy of the native SQLite. So yeah, I don't need to do that one. And then I do want to do design. However, this one says it's deprecated. I don't know when that was deprecated. Let's find out. So I must be thinking of something completely different, but let's just search for SQLite because I do need the design because we're going to do code first stuff. So data, SQLite core. We don't want that one. SQLite, that's the one we installed. We don't want that one. And yet, it appears the design one is not coming up. It's interesting. Did I have it in... Maybe it's just Entity Framework Core design that I need. Maybe I don't actually need a SQLite specific one. So we'll go Entity Framework Core. We're going to install design and hope that it works. Right? That's what's fun about this stream, isn't it? That it's not rehearsed or practiced in a way that everything is going to work every time. And I like it that way. You know, we learn together. I think this is going to work. ABS says, what are we making? We're going to make a database of employees with some Blazor components that we put together. So I'll press this again. Last week we used just a list, but we're going to make an actual database with these. We might style it up. I don't know. Might put some CRUD in there. We'll see how much time we have. And all of this is Blazor components that we've been working on for a couple of streams now. And here's my employees, my fake employees. Where was I? Okay, so I installed the .NET stuff. Now the first thing we need to do is add a connection string. App settings.json. I don't have a connection string in here yet. For some reason I thought I did, but connection strings. Our connection, we're just going to call this our database. This is not a production application. We'll say data source equals, I think it's going to be in data, right? Is that where I put it? Let's find it just to make sure. Yeah, data employees.db. This should work. Oh, we have an escape sequence because I put in the wrong one. So this should work as far as our connection string. This is how easy a connection string is with a SQLite database. So one thing you might be thinking, how come no login, username, password, etc.? We don't have any of that with this particular database we're doing. So obviously we have some security stuff that we would need to think about if this were a real application, because it'd be pretty easy to just modify that data. So we got the, let's see, that tool. This thing, we'll keep it open because I probably will know the command to type in later. So here's our employee object. And this is just a plain old class object. This is what we did last time, and we're not going to change this at all. It's just basically a bunch of strings. There's an ID that we want to be the ID of like a primary key of the database. We're going to add a new item, and we're just going to add in our employee context. One thing I want to do in future streams too is work a little bit more with Dapper. Dapper is a similar product to Entity Framework. It's smaller, it's faster, it's leaner, it's awesome, but I haven't worked with it in a while, so I'm going to build out a few things in Dapper. I'm going to get back into the swing of Dapper. Because I haven't touched it in a long time. But I'm going to get back into the swing of it, and then we're going to do some of that on the live stream. And we might even do some like side-by-side comparisons or something, but Dapper is so fast and just lean and mean, and so I want to definitely do more of that. Here. Yeah, Surly Dev brings up a great point. Two different products. The Dapper that I'm talking about is D-A-P-P-E-R. It's a library, like Entity Framework. A Dapper, D-A-P-R, is like a microservices framework. And yeah, I don't know. For me, I had to think that the people who came up with Dapper, the second one, DAPR, had to have known that there's this Dapper library and just didn't care. They're just like, we don't care. But yeah, and as Surly Dev mentions, Dapper is done by the folks at Stack Overflow, so you know it's got to be performant. It definitely is. I built a big project with Dapper a few years ago for a job I was doing, and it was amazing. It was, I won't get into it too deep, but we were doing a project where it was on very limited bandwidth. So this thing that just runs internal in a company, and the bandwidth just wasn't there. So we did everything lean and mean. I took jQuery out and put in just raw vanilla JavaScript just to save bytes over the wire for all of these hundreds of people that were using this app. And we decided to switch the back end over to Dapper because we were kind of greenfielding a lot of new stuff anyway, and it did so great. It really was performant and good, and people were happy, which is the true measure of software success, right? If the people that use it don't hate you, then you're doing great. And so that's what we were really trying for there. DB context not found because I need to put any using. That's what I thought. All right. For some reason, I woke up this morning at like 6 a.m., but for some reason I feel like I just rolled out of bed. But that's all right. We all have days like that. So we put in our DB context. I do have some stuff in here in notes because I don't like to type it all out. So I'm just going to dump this stuff in here to read our configuration, employee context. Oops, that's supposed to be data context, but whatever. We'll just put employee context. What this does is we pull in configuration here, and that's where we're going to get our configuration strings. Then we do this protected override here. We override our onConfiguring method, pass in those options so that we can grab employee DB, which I didn't name it that. Also, this code is not tested. Just so you know, this is just something I dumped in the notes from another project, but these are generally the things I put in here, and I forgot my DB set. That's perfect right there, even though we're going to make this public. So this should, yeah, we'll put getters and setters. So this should be everything we need here. Private members unused should not be private. Should be public. Okay, so this is all the code we need, I believe. We'll find out when we run it, but I believe this is all the code that we need to connect to that employees.db database. And this exists in our data, which is where that exists. Let's just run it really quick, see if we spit out any errors, and if not, then we'll add our migration and we'll be good to go. Yep, looks like we don't have any errors, so let's go to our marketing people. Hey, I'm a marketing person now. At least I work in a marketing department. I'm still learning marketing. There's so much to learn about that particular field. .NET, add package. No, we're not adding package. .NET EF migrations is it add? Yeah, add. We'll just call this initial. No project was found. Why would it say that? Blazor test. Try that again. Not sure why, but my package manager looks like it's out of the project. Okay, so now we have our first migration. .NET EF Database update. And we're going to see what this migration does to our database. Yep, that's employees. Oh, would you look at that? We've got a table, ID, first name, last name, etc. We have a database structure. So we had some JSON that we used. Let's see if we can just import that JSON. Why not? Oh, database from SQL file, database from CSV file. Maybe we should just create some, just for the fun of it, because you may not have been around last week when we did this, but I used Mockaroo to create this data. So let's just do another Mockaroo creation here. ID, int, let's say first name, last name, we did email, and this one was department. So I believe maybe that's commerce. Basic. Remember where I got department from. What Mockaroo is it just, as you could probably guess, creates mock data. I need a little bit more space here. Location, nature, personal products, travel, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember where I got from. Maybe IT? I know I got department from somewhere. Construction, commerce. Gotta be commerce. Yeah, we'll just put department retail. Who cares? We'll call that department. And then we decided to put in an avatar. That's where we got those avatars from. And I believe that one was under personal. Yep. The RoboHash avatar, I think we decided 100 by 100. And there we go. So now we have a bunch of these. I don't think we need 1,000 of them. But why not? Let's put 1,000 of them in there. Download data. Save as. We're going to save. Oh, now it wants to open the file. Okay. It's in my downloads, but we're going to save this. And it looks like it is CSV separated. So we're going to save this in my repos. And this is Blazor test. We'll just put that in data. Mock data CSV. And we'll see if we can just load this right into our database here. That would be pretty cool. Import database from CSV file. Blazor test data. Yep, mock data. Open, and it looks like it's parsing it the way we want it to. There's an ID, there's a first name, last name, email. And this is what's so cool. Like, these are two of my favorite tools, basically, for like SQLite for small databases. Like I said, small as in less than a freaking terabyte. And then Mockaroo, so you can do stuff like this and just build out cool databases with fake data. Look at all this. We got fake email addresses. I'm gonna press OK. Let's see what we're looking at now. Browse table. Oh, I didn't do something. I must have clicked cancel or something at some point. Blazor test, data, mock data. Oh, that created a table. No, we want this to go into employees. No column name. Let's see if it'll let me do this. Yes. Data type mismatch. So, modify table. Yep, we'll save it. Integer, text, 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 text. So this isn't the worst thing in the world, because I can insert all of this stuff on create, I believe. It's been a little while since I've done this. Let's try this again. Employees and advanced. Disable data type detection. I don't know if that's a great idea, but in this case, I don't think it's that bad of a deal. We don't want column names in first line. For some reason, when I uncheck it, it removes the column name from the first line. Okay, whatever. Let's see if this works. Yes, import the data into it. And that worked. Just ignoring the types, which I wouldn't suggest with a really complex database, but we now have all of these people in our database. 1,000 of them to be exact. So we're going to save it. Write changes. Oh, see, I didn't update Visual Studio Code. I updated everything else today, Visual Studio Code. Trying to think of what I need to do next. I'm lost. Okay, so now we have a DB context, which is great. And this is in Blazor test data. That's something good to remember. So let's go to our employee gets inserted into here to render out this card. However, we have, employee listing, which creates an employee list. This is where we want to be, is employee listing CS. So show employees now instead of all of this. We will just, I'm gonna take that out and save it in case we need to use it later. That was the old database dump. And we're already using Blazor test data, which is great. So let's say if our context is null, is equal to null. Then we're going to create it. And we're going to use application DB factory. Not available right now. Oh, I'm trying to remember. What am I missing? I'm missing something here. Let me add another piece of code here. So I know I'm missing something. The DB context, do need to put that in. But I feel like I'm missing something else. Private Blazor test data employee context. That will be context. So if the context is null, oops, non-nullable field. Yeah, we can make it nullable, of course. Then we're going to do application DB context factory create DB context. And this, I believe, we're not using SQLite PCL. we are using Microsoft.Entity Framework Core. Using data, we're using Entity Framework Core. This doesn't exist because I don't know. Let's see, application DB context. What is it that I'm missing here? Application DB context factory. Generate? No, I don't want to generate that stuff. So I think I'm missing something here, and it'll just take me a minute to figure it out. I'm gonna look at some other code here really quick. It's been a while since I've done this. At least feels like it. A couple months. Oh, I know what I know exactly what I'm forgetting. I don't have an application DB context factory yet, and I need to make that. That's what it is. So here's all this cool stuff in here. This is the one part that I forgot for connecting to that SQLite database. And I will just grab some code. Let's see, I remember I did this in another application here. It's gonna be right here. We're gonna add DB context factory. Add this in, and that is employee context for our type. And then we have to pass in some options here. Not here. Here. And options will be options. Use SQLite. I should have, there we go. We have use SQLite. And then our connection string needs to be passed in here, which I forgot what our connection string was. App settings JSON, we call it our database. So yeah, this will actually connect. This will create our instance. And I might have to double check that because I'll need to do a builder configuration in there also. Builder configuration dot get add configuration or get configuration. It's like get connection string. There it is. Get connection string. And that one is going to be our database. I just had this mixed up. We're going to get connection string, our database. Then I should be able to pass in connection string like so. As soon as I create that variable. Connection string. Okay, there we go. So I kind of typed a little fast there, but what we're doing here is, so we started a builder here, the web application builder, and I'm doing get connection string named our database, putting it into a string named connection string, and I'm passing that into options. So we'd have to do options, use SQLite. I think there's one more option, but I don't remember. And then this should create our DB context factory that we'll be using everywhere else in the application. Now there's a couple of different things to consider. The way I'm connecting to it is probably fine. There are certain ways, like if you create a singleton, it causes problems with multiple users. If you leave too many connections open at the same time, this is one of the downsides of SQLite. If you leave too many connections open at the same time, you can have race issues, you can have all kinds of different problems. This way has worked pretty well for me in the past by creating this factory. But yeah, there are times that it can scale out and not be so great. This, I think, will work, especially for what we're doing. So go back to employee listing. There we go. If it's null, now we're back to where I want to be. I should be able to use this DB factory here and create a new one. Application, what did we call that? I closed these things way too early. So yeah, add DB context factory. Context factory. Which I'm assuming I have to push in here. Context, right there. You should do context factory. I'm going to copy this out of here. I'm not sure why this isn't injecting it in here. What partial class? Let's see. Employee listing. And Blazor test data employee context is being included. That is in our data. Isn't it? Yep, it's in our data. But once again, I'm missing something here. Factory. And I'm going to jump back to that other. What is this Skype spam I've been getting lately? It's been terrible. So let's go back into our program CS and see if I'm missing anything here. We've got our connection string. We've got add context factory, employee context. So maybe it's employee context. DB factory. Let's try something really quick here. And we're just going to do a little inspection. Let's see what Builder looks like. Builder services. 335. Holy moly. And let's see how many singletons we have here. A bunch. I guess probably towards the end. since it was one of the last things before that. Yeah, employee context. Employee context. Text factory. All right. I'm going to check something here really quick. I'm going to check one of the other applications that I've written here recently and see what it is I'm doing wrong. I'm doing builder build, right? Yeah, so builder build. Cool. For some reason, the way I usually do this isn't working. So, we'll jump into, let's see, rip through some of my other code here. Builder factory. Got my context here. Here's our data. We are including Entity Framework Core. Maybe it is a service that I've not created yet, but I think it should be fine. Oh yeah, I think so. I think I have to create a service also. Here, I'm going to create a folder named services just to keep this all good, organized. For this service, I'm just going to call it like employee service. Now I should be able to, I'm just going to copy this code out of here. Private employee DB context. Here we're going to use Blazor test data. We should be able to see that employee context, DB context. Next. Maybe it's just employee context. Employee context. And we're going to call this DB context. And it would help if I created that within the class, right? Perfect. And this is actually trying to fill all the constructors and everything out for me. This DB context, sure. So I think this will do it. Employee context, blah. We'll go back to our listing, employee context. If not, then in here we're gonna say that our context. I definitely need to study up on this stuff before I do it again. Employee context. Employee service. Service, session service, context. This is not the answer either. Now I think about it. So once again, we learn together. This is what I'm looking for. Application DB context factory. I'm going to look through one of my other applications here. Let's just open up Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to jump into one of my other applications where I did this before, because I seem to have forgotten how I did this, or how I usually do this, I should say. So once I get it figured out, then we'll learn together. Open this up. Here, application DB context, and it looks like I forgot a constructor. Yeah, looks like I forgot a constructor in my employee context. I do pass in configuration. Oops. Where's this? This is employee listing. I want, why do I keep closing that? I want employee context, DB context. And here I want to create a constructor. This constructor DB context options, employee, DB context. Maybe I called it this. Oh, this also needs to use Blazor test .data. That will help. Yeah, I should be able to. There we go. Pass this in with options. We're going to extend and get those options from the base class. Field. And then I think, let's try building this really quick. All right. So we still don't have this application DB context factory. So let's figure out where that comes from. Like I said, we'll figure this out together. Oh, that's what I'm missing. I need to inject that into our Blazor component. So, in employee listing, Razor, inject that DB context factory. And we're going to call this factory. I'm going to say using Blazor test data. All right. I don't know why I keep putting DB in there. Employee context. This should work. DB context factory does not exist. Oh, then we didn't. All right, so I think we're almost there. We'll go back through the things that I missed. Employee DB context factory. Okay, so that's what I was missing. I can close out all this fun stuff I put in here. I'm going to do a quick tech check really quick. Looks like we are still streaming live to all the places. That's awesome. So chat is still open. I'm just making sure I'm not talking to myself here. Components. Okay, yeah, it should be, oops, employee debug. We need to create DB context. So what we're doing here is I'm creating it inside the employee listing.razor. So you notice I injected everything here. And we could go all the way back to the page level, but I only want to connect to this database exactly when we're going to use it. And that was because of the concurrency stuff that I had mentioned earlier. Bring up my chat. We just want to connect to it exactly when we're going to use it. And when we're going to use it is when somebody clicks show employees, we're going to pull that data and use it. As you can see right here. Now we could also simplify this a little bit and do like a connect to DB function that we can call, but for right now, we'll do show employees, and then we should have a nice context here full of a ton of employees. So, once again, if context is not null, or if context is null, we want to populate it. Next, we're going to say if context is not null, we'll do something. And what we're going to do is our employee list is probably not going to be a list anymore, right? But it can be. For this context, let's see. Employees, where, let's see. X employee ID equals 1 to list. Let's say where employee ID is greater than or equal to 10. So we'll just do 10 of these. a link here. All right, so now we got some link that is going to rip this stuff to a list. So we're going to say employee list is this. The top 10 employees. And we'll run it. Some are not going to be able to be instructed. Context lifetime scoped. Yeah, I want it to be scoped. Oh, I've got two constructors in that. So remember, I added that other constructor, which I think I can get rid of. Employee context. I think I can probably get rid of this. Try commenting it out. Because I'm not using the context yet. Should be able to just pass in that configuration. Yeah, there we go. Now what's the error going to be? Oh, we don't have an error. It works. Right on time, 12 o'clock. Yay! But I'm actually going to go a little bit longer. We're not going to end it right at 12 o'clock. Because we're going to discuss what I was struggling through here today. So I'm going to do my quick little tech check again. And then I'm going to go back and talk about what happened here, what we need to do. So, yeah. Okay, perfect. Looks like everything's still moving. All right, so now we have a different set of data than we had before. Got all our little avatars, etc. It's showing far more than 10, which I was trying to limit it to 10, but that's all right. We're gonna fix that. We don't need this. We don't need this or this. But we do need this. So I'm going to pin both of these. And we need to say this ID is greater than 10. Oh, so I'm showing the last. Okay. That fixes my link. So now we're going to do the first 10. I knew it was something simple like that. Click on employees, show employees. There should only be 10 here. Correct. All right. That's what I was looking for. So let's go back and see what we did here. Now we had employee was created. It's a plain old class object. Then I installed Entity Framework Core for SQLite, created an employees database. And this is the file-based database where all of that employees table is stored. Then I had to create this employee context, which basically takes in a configuration. It says on configuring. So when we're configuring this context, we're going to use SQLite. So that's a little bit different than use SQL Server or something like that. And then we get the connection string, our database. Then in my in program.cs, we had to add connection string here, and we just pull that from get connection string our database. Same thing, and then we had to create this DB context factory, so we can just kind of create a scoped instance of that employee context. And then for that, for options, we pass in use SQLite with this connection string. So basically what this does is this small amount of code actually does a ton of things. It opens up that database, creates a connection to it. It allows you to create a context, and basically takes in the whole, takes in all of the connection stuff. It handles all of that right here just by saying uses SQLite. for this factory. So every time you call this, it's going to create a new scoped instance. And we're calling it here. We're saying if our context is null, create DB context. We're going to use this factory to just create a new instance of it. If it's not null, which means we got something, then we try to do a link query into our employee list, which is just a list of employees. Then in our Blazor or our Razor page, we in here, we're just parsing through the list like we were before. And we're passing employee, that plain old class object. That's all it is an object. We're just looping through that list and passing that employee into that card. And so here you can do all kinds of stuff with this link, right? You could say X first name, trying to remember the like let's start with J. Strings. Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember what first name is like, but we'll do an equals first name Pooh. That works. Pooh. Everybody with the first name Pooh. We'll go into a list. But we can do all kinds of link queries here to populate this list for us. And because we're doing toList at the end of it, converts it into a list, creates a new employee list. Here's this one's going to do everybody with the first name of Pooh, which is Pooh Webby. I'm trying to remember how to do like. I'm going to look that up. Contains. It's been so long. So let's say, or the first name contains J. First name, yeah, contains J. To list. First name may be null. It might be. Let's see. And there's everybody with a J in their name. Not necessarily starting with J. Well, actually, it would be starting with J because I did a capital J. So here's all the ones that start with J. So you can make kind of a sort of a search thing. It's not a great search, but you could make a search thing here for show employees. X. Do that with emails, avatar. Let's do department, where the department equals, we'll select by department. Since I don't know the department, books. Let's select everybody in the books department. Employees, show employees. There's everybody in the books department. Ta-da! So today what we've done is we've gone through and added real data from a real database to our employee listing. And I apologize, it was a little screwy because I should list those steps. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I will write an article for allhandsontech.com that documents these exact steps that you take. There's not very many, but we're going to document the exact steps to add SQLite data to a Razor component. I should have that done fairly quickly. And that will be a good kind of a recap here of everything that we've done. So far we've done nested components, We've done dynamic components. We've passed data into components from other components, and now we've passed database data into components. There are a few other things we can do with Blazor Components, but I kind of want to start a project for this stream again. And one of the things, so I've been talking with my team about possible topics. One topic that I want to stick with, of course, is Blazor. Want to do some Blazor stuff, but I also kind of want to do some computer vision with C#. And so there's Azure Computer Vision, there's OpenCV, there's stuff like that. I want to build some cool computer vision stuff. And there's also some like Azure functions, like we mentioned, using Dapper with an Azure function with SQLite makes a really fast microservice. So we might do that next week. We might just put one of those together to show you how to build a really simple, clean, low overhead, fast service with Azure. And we use an Azure function. I could do, one of my favorite things to do is turn cities into zip codes and vice versa. If you follow my blog or you followed All Hands on Tech, I've done it on All Hands on Tech and I've done it on jeremymorgan.com, where I like to do this as kind of a test. You know, we do this city to zip code. And so what I do is I take a GeoIP database of cities and zip codes, and we create that database in whatever database we're using, and then we access it with whatever language we're using, and it just makes a cool project. So I think that's probably what I'll do next week is I'll dig into some Dapper again. I'll knock the dust off, try to figure out what I'm doing with that, and we'll use Dapper to make a really fast service. So I want to thank everybody for coming to my stream today. This has been fun. Like I said, I apologize for the struggling on that one error. I just did not remember the steps. I should have made notes because it's been a little while since I've put all this together, but we're using Entity Framework Core 7.02, I believe, at this point. And this is kind of how easy it is to set these things up. So you can do all kinds of interesting stuff. Let's see. Let's do it. Let's do a little bit more with it. All right. So we'll do show employees, and we can do. So we've got show employees. We could do something like update them, delete them. Let's just put in a delete button. Why not? So for each in our employee card, see if I can find, we'll go back to components, employee card.razor. Let's see, delete. We'll do a button. We'll do a button that's similar to this one. Yeah, we'll just take an employee. Listing. Go back in here to employee contacts, or not employee contacts, employee card.razor. On click. We'll say delete employee. Well, one thing we'll need to do here is take a value. This will be our employee ID, which I believe I put that in there, but yeah. We'll do it in here. Public void, delete employee. Instead of value, let's just pass it directly in there. I believe we can do that. Oh no, looks like I can't. Can I? Int employee ID void to a callback. Yeah, I guess I can't really do that. Well, I'm already out of time. Maybe we'll do that next time. I don't remember exactly. Pass it in. Let me just see here. Argument 2, connect, convert, void to callback. So I'm not sure what they mean by that, but it looks like they don't like it to return void. So how do we an event callback? Public event callback? We return an empty callback. Looks like we can. I don't remember doing this last time, but once again, we're learning together. What was I gonna say? Oh, we're gonna put a little message in here to make sure. Or save our ID equals employee ID. I just want to make sure this thing is actually going to send that ID. Go through to here. Show employees, should have a delete button. Oh, wow, okay. We'll continue. And it's going to do that 10 times. Or a million times, because I forgot I did select by J. There we go. So now if we delete Harriet, our ID is 58. So we are getting the ID. So we should be able to, and delete employee, we should be able to do the same thing where we can grab that context. So let's go here. We have these two here, and we're injecting that context employee DB context factory using Entity Framework Core. We're going to do it right here in the employee card. And we'll just copy our code here. If context is null, we'll create it, which it should be. And we need to create this context here. Okay, so if the context is null, we'll create it. We're going to remove the entire employee. So we're passing in this employee here as our employee. We're just going to remove that entire employee. Maybe I need to do another. Context is not null. Save changes. The type cannot be used as a type parameter. That's kind of interesting. Match class constraint. Because it's nullable, it probably won't work, or it won't work some of the time, but we're going to try it out. And I'm going to research this a little bit before the next time we do. Let's delete Harriet. And we've got the empty callback. So now we're going to do show employees. Harriet should be gone. And this is going slow. We can also look here to see if Harriet is here. Harriet is number 1 though. I thought we were deleting 58. All right, so this is a little rusty, but we'll jump back into it. Like I said, I'll do a little bit more research here and we'll jump back into it, and I'm going to write an article on All Hands on Tech outlining all the steps that we took today. So again, thank you everybody for stopping by, and I'm going to do a raid on Twitch. So I'm going to raid somebody. So basically at this point, we're going to close down the stream. I'll see you next Tuesday. We'll do some cool stuff. We're going to do that super fast Azure function, and we're going to do a little bit more data stuff. So next week's stream might be sort of long. It looks like Thindle is online, and Thindle is a friend of ours. For sure, we're going to raid. Thank you very much for coming in, and we will see you next week.
TA mod to it, remove the antenna connection, the TV connection, and instead a Pluralsight. Thank you for the raid. What were you doing? Were you working on your weather app? And I was talking about spectrums. So good timing, you know. But thank you very much for the raid. Not today. What were you doing then? Blazor Components. What computer platform? That was a Spectrum. Hold on, I'll show it again since we have new people here.